always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
All right, Friday the 13th. Go ahead, give it to us.
Nothing frightening about our weather as for now, but later on it's going to get a little scary and stormy in terms of pickup from school and possibly into the evening rush. But I think it's more mid to late afternoon where we're going to be dealing with more of the rain that will bring us some relief. So let's look at the bright side of that here as we're kicking off your weekend. Yeah, we made it. And we have a heat advisory in effect for Miami-Dade, Broward County until 6 p.m. for the Keys until 7 p.m. as it could feel like up to 110 to 111 degrees. You know what? Head to the beach. That'll be a great way to beat the heat this weekend. And I will tell you this, it already feels like 91 in Miami, 90 degrees in Fort Lauderdale, and wow, it already feels like 100 degrees in Key West. As we take a look, you'll notice our next weather radar network is quiet. And for the most part, the next few hours will be dry as you're heading to work, dropping off the kids at school. Lunchtime, yep, you may want to make sure you have that umbrella handy. And 3 p.m. looks like we will be getting that rainy day dismissal message from the schools, right, for parents picking up around that time, and could last through 4 p.m. I think by the evening commute, we're looking cloudy, but the rain does begin to dissipate. So that's good news. And if you have any plans to be out and about tonight, it is Friday after all. A low risk of rip currents if you're headed to the beaches. No alerts or advisories for boaters over the Atlantic waters or the Florida Keys. Smooth sailing for you. And then we get into today, tomorrow, dealing with this unsettled stormy pattern, more of the same, localized flooding possible with some of the downpours. And then we get into Sunday, and I think the rain chance will go down a little bit. In the tropics, we have post-tropical cyclone Francine, which is still drenching much of the eastern half of the country, stretching from the Tennessee River Valley through the southeast, even parts of the Florida Panhandle. And watching these other areas here off the Carolina coast, a disturbance with a 30% chance of development. This wave over the Lesser Antilles with a 20% chance of developing, and tropical depression number 7 out in the eastern Atlantic, which is moving west-northwest and expected to become tropical storm Gordon, and eventually will lift north and northeast. So no concerns for us here in South Florida in the tropics, no current threats. We'll continue to, of course, be vigilant and prepared. Now you need to get ready for some more rain for your Saturday tomorrow. We will see those scattered storms around, especially in the afternoon, evening. Sunday, I think we won't be as dealing with widespread wet weather as we've been, and then our highs will still be sizzling in the low 90s. Notice by early to middle of next week, the rain chance does go up a little bit.
Edition.
Welcome back. Today is National Celiac Awareness Day, and it has special meaning for me and my family because both of my daughters were recently diagnosed with celiac disease. Joining us today is Dr. Lina Maria Felipez, our pediatric gastroenterologist. She also serves as Associate Medical Director of the IBD Center and Director of IBD Research at Nicholas Children's Hospital. Thank you so much, Dr. Felipez, for being with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
Of course. You know, I want to begin by just asking you to explain simply what is celiac disease, because I didn't even know what it was before my daughters were diagnosed with it.
Sure. So celiac disease is an autoimmune disease, and it happens in persons that are predisposed genetically to having it. But in simple terms, what happens is when these persons eat gluten, which is wheat, rye, and barley, we have little villi in the intestines, which I like to call them like little finger-like projections, and that is where you absorb nutrients and they are gone. So all of a sudden, you're not able to absorb the nutrients adequately.
And what are some of the health impacts and symptoms that people with celiac disease have to deal with?
And that's tricky because we say that the symptoms of celiac disease is like an iceberg. So that little tip of the iceberg is the persons that are having symptoms, and the iceberg below the water is the ones that have no symptoms. So the symptoms can range from abdominal pain, diarrhea, constipation, not gaining weight. In children, usually is not growing adequately.
Mm-hmm. And in our case, with our daughters, the reason that we were able to discover that they had celiac is because my older daughter was first diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Yes. And then her biopsy results from her endoscopy came back positive for celiac disease. And you suggested we all get tested, the whole family. Okay. My younger daughter's test results then came back positive for celiac. And it was surprising because, you know, there weren't a lot of symptoms that we noticed that would alert us to saying, oh, well, they have celiac disease. So can you tell us how people can get tested for and what red flags to look out for?
Yeah, so I will suggest the same thing that happened with you and your family, is that if you have a family member or a first-degree family member that have celiac disease, to get tested, right? And then and that will be my first red flag. And then autoimmune diseases, so persons that have other autoimmune disease like type 1 diabetes, thyroid problems, or Down syndromes are person that needs to be checked more, because the prevalence increases from 1 in 100 in the normal population to 1 in 10 when you have a positive family member.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that my girls often ask, and many people who with celiac, is there a cure? And if not, what are the treatment options for celiac disease?
Yeah, so sadly, there's no cure at the moment, but we're very hopeful because there's a lot of research being done in the area. And the treatment for celiac disease is diet therapy. So just avoidance of gluten, which is the wheat, rye, and barley, should be enough.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Felipes, for helping us learn more about celiac disease. And if you have any concerns that your child may have celiac or any other gastrointestinal disorder, the gastroenterology pediatric team at Nicholas Children's Hospital offers specialized care for children across South Florida. And you can also find more helpful information and resources on the Celiac Diseases Foundation's website, celiac.org. We are so grateful that you were able to come here and explain a little bit more about celiac. In the next half hour, we actually will be introducing you to one of the only dedicated gluten-free restaurants in Miami. You actually told me about this, Dr. Felipes.
It's those croquetas are great.
Yeah, we look forward to that. Dora's Bakery and Bistro, so stay tuned for that.